Greenland's position has always been obvious on a map. What has never been obvious is why it mattered so much, for so long, even when almost no one lived there. For centuries, Greenland appeared inert, covered in ice, sparse in population, remote from the centers of empire that defined history books. It seemed peripheral, a blank margin on the edge of the world. Yet again and again, powerful states returned their attention to this island. Not because of what it was, but because of where it sat. The quiet truth is that geography does not announce its power all at once. It waits. And when conditions change, it reveals how much influence it has been holding in reserve. This inquiry is not about Arctic exploration or climate science in isolation. It is not a catalog of treaties or military installations. It is an examination of how location itself becomes authority over time, and how modern superpowers are drawn back to Greenland not by ambition alone, but by structural necessity. Greenland sits between worlds, between North America and Europe, between the Atlantic and the Arctic, between established routes and emerging ones. This has always been true. What has changed is who can afford to ignore it. During earlier eras, distance acted as a buffer. Ice was an obstacle. Cold was a deterrent. The Arctic was slow, hostile, and expensive to traverse. Power flowed along warmer, denser corridors. The Mediterranean, the Indian Ocean, later, the Atlantic lanes linking Europe and the Americas. Greenland remained present, but dormant. Then, technology altered the cost of distance. Aircraft shortened time. Satellites erased isolation. Submarines made depth a weapon. Missiles transformed arcs across the globe into strategic pathways. Suddenly, the shortest line between rivals passed directly over the Arctic. Greenland did not move. The world bent around it. During the Cold War, this reality hardened. The island became an early warning platform, a forward sensor, a silent extension of larger systems of deterrence. Radar stations watched the sky. Bases watched the horizon. Greenland was not the center of conflict, but it was embedded inside its architecture. What mattered was not domination of Greenland, but denial, control of access, assurance that no rival would occupy the space unchecked. Power expressed itself not through conquest, but through presence and permission. That pattern never disappeared. It only faded from public attention. In the decades after the Cold War, Greenland receded once more into the background. Globalization redirected focus southward. Trade routes thickened. Energy flowed through familiar choke points. The Arctic seemed stable again, frozen both literally and strategically. But power has a memory, and geography never forgets. As ice began to thin, the Arctic stopped being a barrier and started becoming a corridor. Shipping routes that once seemed theoretical moved closer to feasibility. Subsea resources became more accessible. Surveillance needs intensified. Communication cables, satellite ground stations, and missile trajectories regained prominence. Greenland re-entered the strategic imagination not as a frontier, but as a hinge. Modern superpowers do not compete only through visible force. They compete through positioning, through the quiet shaping of environments where future choices will be made. Greenland's location offers leverage over airspace, sea lanes, and information flows that no alternative site can fully replicate. It is close enough to matter, remote enough to be defensible, stable enough to host long-term infrastructure. This combination is rare. For the United States, Greenland functions as a forward extension of continental defense. For European states, it sits at the edge of transatlantic coherence. For Russia, it lies along the arc of northern access. For China, it represents a point of entry into a region where presence signals status as much as capability. Each actor frames its interest differently, but the gravitational pull is the same. Power does not ask whether Greenland wants to be important. Power asks whether it can afford to let someone else define it. What complicates this dynamic is that Greenland is not empty. It is inhabited, governed. linked politically to Denmark, yet increasingly conscious of its own agency. The island is not merely terrain, it is a society situated inside overlapping power calculations. This creates a tension modern geopolitics often struggles to acknowledge. Strategic value attracts attention, investment, and protection. It also attracts pressure, expectations, constraints. Greenland's position grants it relevance. It also reduces its ability to remain invisible. Throughout history, regions placed at crossroads rarely choose their role. They inherit it. Their autonomy is shaped by how indispensable they become to others. This does not always lead to occupation or coercion. Often, it produces subtler forms of influence, agreements, dependencies, partnerships framed as stability. Power prefers arrangements that appear natural. As competition intensifies among major states, Greenland becomes less a question of control and more a question of alignment. Whose systems integrate with it? Whose standards define its infrastructure? Whose security guarantees shape its future? These are not dramatic decisions. They unfold quietly, through funding, basing rights, research cooperation, and diplomatic signaling. But over time, they lock in trajectories that are difficult to reverse. Geography amplifies these choices. Once a location becomes embedded in strategic planning, it rarely exits gracefully. There is a pattern here that extends beyond Greenland. Islands, straits, peninsulas, and high ground recur throughout history as objects of disproportionate attention, not because they generate power themselves, but because they concentrate it. Greenland concentrates access. It sits beneath polar flight paths. It anchors early warning systems. It flanks emerging maritime routes. It offers depth to continental defense and reach into the high north. These functions do not depend on ideology. They persist regardless of who occupies offices or signs agreements. Power adapts, but structure endures. What makes the modern moment distinct is speed. Decisions that once took decades to matter now compress into years. Infrastructure built today anticipates conflicts that may never arrive, yet cannot be ignored if they do. This creates a paradox. Greenland's importance increases precisely because no one wants to test its significance directly. Its value lies in prevention, in shaping what cannot happen rather than what does. That kind of power is difficult to narrate. It lacks spectacle. It unfolds through absence, through the conflicts that never occur because positions were already set. Greenland's geography enforces restraint, even as it invites competition. And this raises a quieter question beneath the strategic calculations. At what point does location become destiny? When does a place stop being a home and start being a function? History suggests that when great powers converge on a single point, the point itself changes character. It becomes symbolic. Its neutrality thins. Its future narrows toward relevance defined by others. Greenland stands near that threshold, not because it seeks attention, but because modern power cannot fully see the world without accounting for it. Satellites, missiles, shipping lanes, and deterrence models all trace lines that pass nearby. Ignoring Greenland would mean accepting blind spots. Power rarely tolerates blind spots. Yet there is an irony here. The more Greenland matters strategically, the more carefully it must be handled. Overreach invites resistance. Neglect invites intrusion. Stability requires balance, not dominance. This is why the language surrounding Greenland remains measured. Emphasis on cooperation, on defense rather than aggression, on shared security rather than rivalry. These are not empty phrases. They are signals of caution. When powers speak softly about a place, it is often because they understand how much is at stake. Greenland's position does not guarantee conflict, but it ensures attention, and attention is the currency of power. As climate, technology, and global rivalry continue to evolve, Greenland will not fade again into obscurity. The conditions that reactivated its importance are structural, not temporary. Ice may refreeze, politics may shift, but the geometry of the planet will not. This leaves an unresolved tension. Greenland is essential to modern superpowers precisely because it sits outside the traditional centers of power. It reminds us that influence does not always originate where history expects it to. Sometimes it waits quietly, frozen in place, until the world catches up. And when that happens, the question is no longer whether geography matters, but whether those who depend on it can ever truly escape its pull. If this story gave you something to think about, consider subscribing to Timeless Questions. We explore history, philosophy, and the patterns that quietly guide human behavior.